The child my mother is carrying is my husband's. I walked into my home with a suitcase in one hand and gifts for my kids in the other, exhausted but relieved to finally be done with the contract. A year on a cruise ship, working double shifts, sleeping in a shared cabin, counting every day until I could return to my family, it had all felt worth it. I thought I was coming back to the people I loved and protected. I thought I was returning to a home that would finally feel safe again. I didn't realize that the moment I stepped inside, everything familiar would twist into something unrecognizable. My mother was sitting at the kitchen table. At first I barely noticed her posture because my kids were running toward me, screaming "Mom," the way only children do. I hugged them so tight I could barely breathe. But as soon as I let go, my eyes finally registered what my brain had been trying to reject. My mother's belly. Round. Firm. Pregnant. I thought maybe I was confused, maybe it was weight gain or bloating or something I shouldn't comment on. But then my husband walked in behind her, rubbing her shoulder in a way that didn't look like sympathy or surprise, it looked like ownership. Something inside me froze. I remember my voice cracking when I asked, "Mom, are you?" But she didn't let me finish. She lifted her chin and said, "Yes. I'm pregnant." I didn't sit down. I didn't breathe. My husband stood beside her, arms crossed like he was waiting for me to start shouting so he could use it against me later. My mother kept her eyes on me, unblinking, like I was the one who owed her an explanation. "Whose?" I finally whispered, though some part of me already knew. Or maybe didn't want to know. My mother didn't speak this time. My husband did. Calmly. Like he was telling me the washing machine broke. "It's mine." The walls started spinning. I dropped the bag of gifts onto the floor, the chocolates, the little dresses for my daughter, the model boat for my son, they scattered, rolling across the tiles like props in a tragic comedy. My hands were shaking so hard I had to hold on to the back of a chair. I whispered, "How long?" And my mother answered, 5 months. 5 months. That meant it happened when I was still sending money home every week. When I was video calling them from my cramped cabin, checking on my husband's recovery, begging my mother to make sure he did his exercises, trusting her with my children, with my household, with everything I had left. My husband's spine injury had nearly ruined us financially. I had gone to work on the ship because the pay was good and because our savings were gone. I had worked until my fingers were stiff from carrying trays and scrubbing rooms, while he was home recovering, doing physical therapy that I paid for. My mother offered to move in to help with the children, and I had been grateful. Grateful. The woman who raised me. The woman I trusted more than anyone. When I asked, in a shaking voice, "How could you do this to me?" neither of them looked ashamed. My husband said, "You're the one who left, remember? 4 years. Always choosing work." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was surreal. I left to feed our children. I left because he couldn't work. I left because someone had to. My mother jumped in before I could respond. "You weren't here. You don't understand how lonely your husband was. Or how hard everything was for us. And this is probably my last chance to be a mother again." I stared at her. My own mother. Talking about her last chance while carrying a child fathered by my husband. Talking like this was fate, not a betrayal so twisted it made my skin crawl. I said, "You already are a mother." And she actually shook her head. "No. I mean a real mother again. To a baby. I've always regretted not having more children." I felt something in me collapse, not break, but crumble slowly like a building with rotten beams. I asked the only question left, "And what about my kids? Your grandchildren? What happens now?" My mother looked annoyed, like I was being dramatic. "They'll be fine. They're used to me. They love me. It will be easier if you just go back to work. It was better when you were gone. Better." She said it so casually I felt it like a knife behind my ribs. My husband nodded. He didn't even pretend to disagree. "Maybe you should return to the ship until we figure things out. You're good at that job." I think my soul left my body for a moment. These two people, the man I'd built a life with and the woman who'd given me life, had planned a future that did not include me. A future where I was the outsider. The unwanted one. The worker. The provider who wasn't supposed to come home. My mother stood up slowly, one hand resting on her stomach, and said with a softness that made it even more sickening, "You should pack your things. This stress isn't good for the baby." The baby. My husband's baby. My mother's baby. I don't remember walking out of the house. I remember my kids clinging to me, confused, scared, asking if I was going somewhere again. My mother telling them, let her go. She needs to calm down. My husband telling them, Mom will be back. I didn't correct him. I didn't have the strength. I slept in my car that night. I cried until my throat burned. I thought about driving into the sea. I thought about disappearing completely. Then I thought about my kids and forced myself to breathe. Over the next days, the story spread through the town like gasoline on fire. Everywhere I went, people stared. Whispered. Some offered sympathy. Others enjoyed the gossip. I kept my head down. I felt like I was trapped in one of those trashy talk shows where the host pretends to be shocked but is secretly thrilled by the drama. But the worst part? My mother didn't hide. She walked around proudly, touching her stomach, smiling when people asked questions. My husband avoided me, but not out of shame, out of fear that I might ruin whatever fantasy they had built together. I filed for custody. For support. For everything legal I could do. My mother told people I was jealous. My husband said I was unstable. But slowly, painfully slowly, I started rebuilding my life. I rented a small apartment. I took a new contract, but one where I could return home every month. I saved money. I spent time with my kids. I forced myself to stand up again even though every day I felt like I was walking through broken glass. Months later, when my mother finally gave birth, my husband sent me a message, a photo of the baby. A baby girl. My children's aunt and sister Anne. I don't even know what to call her. He wrote, maybe now things can calm down. I didn't respond. I blocked him. I blocked my mother. I chose peace over answers. I chose sanity over madness. People still talk. Some in whispers, some loudly. But I don't care anymore. I survived something that would have destroyed most people. I crawled out of a nightmare that was planned behind my back by the two people I trusted most. And every time I look at my kids, I'm reminded of what matters, that they are mine, that I fought for them, that I didn't let betrayal turn me into something bitter and hateful. But sometimes, late at night, I still ask myself the same question over and over. How do you ever heal from being betrayed by your own family? And the truth is, I don't know yet. But I'm trying.